Meanwhile, the U.S. is rejecting claims that Russia killed a senior ISIS leader this week. The terror group says that its chief strategist and spokesman, Mohammed al-Adnani, was killed near Aleppo, Syria. American officials are trying to confirm that he died in a precision airstrike carried out by coalition forces. CBS News senior national security analyst Fran Townsend is a former Homeland Security advisor to President George W. Bush and joins us this morning. Good morning to you, Fran.
Good morning, Josh.
With regard to this claim from Russia, one U.S. official, in fact, called it quite simply a joke. What do you make of it?
Right. Well, look, we ought to evaluate that based on the facts we know. And frankly, what we've seen from Russia's involvement in Syria is that they've spent their time and munitions and military might going after civilians and supporting the Assad regime. There's nothing to suggest that they would have had the tactical intelligence required to conduct a precision strike against an ISIS leader, because that's not been their priority or the focus of their attention.
So they're trying to claim credit for what would really be a big blow to ISIS's external terrorist operations to date. Just how big of this is a win, quite frankly, for not only the U.S., but also protecting Europe from terrorist attacks?
That's right, Nora. So it's at least a temporary win. We found when we were battling al-Qaeda that number 3 position, the director of external operations, at least temporarily disrupts their ability to conduct those kinds of attacks. We ought to remember al-Adnani is responsible for external attacks causing some 4,000 injuries, 1,800 deaths throughout Western Europe, and including some of these attacks in the United States like Orlando and San Bernardino. And so taking him out, at least temporarily, will disrupt them. Remember, they'll push somebody else up into that position, and what you hope is over time, if you keep targeting that person, that the person who's responsible for external operations becomes less experienced and less competent over time.
Fran, what does this tell us about the relationship between Russia and the U.S. when it comes to the fight against ISIS?
Look, this has been, DeMarco, this has been an ongoing problem for the United States. We have many disagreements right now with Russia, but probably the most significant in terms of our own domestic security is this kind of ongoing dispute inside Syria. They're unwilling to coordinate or cooperate with us. Our goals are quite different. You know, the U.S. has made clear that we do not support the Assad regime. We believe he ought to go. And Russia has quite clearly said they do support him. And so as long as we have, you know, different goals there, this conflict, the real losers here are the Syrian civilians and people.
Just a question about intelligence, Fran. I mean, Adnani's whatever, the number 2, the number 3. I mean, a big deal. Right. U.S. airstrike inside Syria suggests our intelligence is pretty good, right?
That's right. I mean, it's good and it's getting better, and that ought to be a real concern. ISIS has lost substantial amounts of 40% of their territory inside Syria and Iraq. And so, yes, our intelligence is good and getting better.
All right, Fran Townsend, thank you.